Well, hello. Happy Friday, everyone. A good Friday evening to all of you on the East Coast and to everywhere else everyone is, whether it be morning or afternoon or evening. Hope you're having a good one and looking forward to the weekend if you're not already there. So, it's been quite a while since I got to speak to you in regards to Marilyn Manson, aka Brian Warner. Um, It's been a bit busy, but when it comes to YouTube and me talking about true crime and legal, Marilyn Manson was my very first, my first video, my first venture into this. I started speaking about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, but it was on other channels as a panel. And I covered defamation suits in regards to other YouTubers, but it was on other channels as panels. This was my first here as a solo. And I've changed how I look at the case quite drastically. In the beginning, I put forth all of the victims that came forth when everything first came out. I broke it. I went into every single tweet. I posted each person's accusations. I posted statements that Marilyn Manson, aka Brian Warner, made on his own behalf. To be fair, well, that very first video does look a bit slanted because of the numerous amount of people who came out in February of that year. Mm. If you've all been following it, you know that there's multiple civil suits now. And we've been following some of them get dismissed and some of them getting a little crazy. Our last reporting was in October of 2022. With a couple of other cases like Masterson and a few others because there, wasn't enough for an individual whole hour and a half or an hour. But because, well, yesterday was Marilyn Manson, aka Brian Warner's birthday. And I wanted to do my update in celebration not only of his birthday, he has made it to 54 years. He still has a career, although we must say that this publicity has not been helping. But to say that he doesn't have a large support group out there would be a misnomer because he does. Um, Evidence to date has not supported any accusation. And I'm looking at all of the legal stuff. Now, we have not gone to trial yet on any of it, so we don't know everything that will be presented. But from what I've seen, Howard King, rather, my apologies, Howard, please don't come for me. Howard King has done recently in the last 6, 7 months or so an excellent job of dismantling many of the cases. Okay. So we're going to go bit by bit over the ones that are left, why they're not here anymore, the ones that left, and where they're at, because it's still slow going. It is still slow going on. It will probably be reporting on Marilyn Manson's civil lawsuits all the way into 2023. Um, I do want to give a shout out to two accounts that I do get a lot of information of who freely share legal documents, opinion, and updates. Um, and that would be Justice for Marilyn Manson. I've linked their website below. They have a podcast. They have an excellent website to keep abreast of all of this. It's beautifully formatted, excellent work. They've been very kind to give me shout outs for some of the work that I have done on Marilyn Manson and how I try to stay giving just the information, the best that I can. And I appreciate that. They don't need to recognize smaller YouTubers like myself, but what they want to recognize is the information, and I give them great credit for that. They do actually rub elbows with quite a few of the larger legal YouTubers, and I wish them much luck as they go forward and cover this because they're a great resource. And I've linked them below. The other one is the Manson cases. They also had a podcast together at one time. I do believe that there's a podcast and possibly even a YouTube channel coming out from them. But they also, if you're following either of those accounts, which I've linked below on Instagram, you're going to get amazing updates also. And I have to say, with only clearly just trying to get the information out there, they are leaning towards Marilyn because they are starting to believe, as I, and remember, not a lawyer, okay? Don't come from me, YouTube. And legal channels don't come from me either. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not elbowing into anybody's territory here. I check what I'm going to say legally with other people, but it's just opinion and commentary. I'm not even a paralegal. But I've started following this case because of the amount of accusations and the similarity of all of them. And because one of my things that I like to follow legally is statute of limitations, because as you've heard me say numerous times, and if you're new here, welcome to the soapbox, because I really think the statute of limitations in regards to abuse victims in general needs to be updated all over our country, not just in the states that it is, not just by case. I do believe it needs an overhaul. I do believe that extenuating circumstances exist in most statute of limitation cases, and there needs to be a vehicle for victims. The worst thing in the world is to go through a healing process and then find out there's nothing you can do about anything. Can you imagine being in that position? Not being able to do anything about it because someone decided you should have been ready a year ago to talk about it, to deal with it. There should be a way, there should be a process, maybe a registration, something. But it is changing in many states. In California, where these cases started, there is laws that say that due to extenuating circumstances like trauma, therapy, is traumatic events, you can get extensions to the statute of limitations. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to follow it. The other thing is I have a great interest in how consent is applied in the legal system, because in some cases it's not fairly and it's not written into the laws very clearly in some cases. Okay. Especially consent between two adults that are of legal age, but maybe in a relationship, where those consents start and stop. Like legally, we need more to firm all of this up. Legally, there needs to be more set down on this and protections in either cases. Now, we all have personal opinions about it. As a woman, of course, I'm going to tell you, hey, I could say no whenever I want, and you're just going to have to go with it. you know, but legally, that might not fly. Okay, legally, that might not fly. But mm, things have changed. Things are moving in different states. There's different laws, different cases, lots of precedent. But that was the reason. Okay, not because Marilyn Manson was famous. Although the reason so many came out against him and it was such big news is, let's be honest, because Marilyn Manson is famous. Marilyn Manson is a very famous, and he makes his money being someone that people are going to talk about. Marilyn Manson does it his way. Marilyn Manson wanted to make a splash and he makes a splash. This is his stage persona, okay? But Marilyn Manson is not Brian Warner. In Brian Warner, oh, the person behind Marilyn Manson, the persona, the musician, the artist, the creator, is also getting sued. And his life is getting wrecked. His stage persona is a big part of why a lot of the allegations are believable. Let's be real. You hear that Marilyn Manson may have done something to someone that might be on the edge, that might be a little racy, that might be a little dangerous. I'll bet most of us wouldn't blink an eye because that's the persona. But we have to legally be able to divide the two. And we have to have evidence that Brian Warner did any of this, regardless of how we feel, we see as a stage performance and everything else. Okay. When it first came out, everyone was overwhelmed. Everyone was, you know. And I'm not going to go and give you a brief history because I got a playlist down there that'll give it all to you. And I don't want to be here for 5, 6 hours when there are great accounts reporting on this all the time that have great documentation on their websites. Justice for Marilyn Manson being one of them down there that I linked. And so I don't want to take up your time with the history of it all, but all of it is there. And if you go to my first video, you see all the accusations that came out on that day when Evan Rachel Woods decided to name Marilyn Manson. Okay. Marilyn Manson is the only one he is suing in this group of lawsuits that is going on is Evan Rachel Woods and Illma Gore, her partner. When they put out Phoenix Rising, they made buku bunch of accusations. They hit Twitter, they organized, they have done some what appears allegedly they have done some rather shady things to affect Brian Warner's life, let alone the career of Marilyn Manson. Okay. He's suing them for it. Okay. That's his lawsuit against them. And Marilyn Manson's birthday was yesterday. Yes, Sam. He's 54 as of yesterday. And I have a couple of pictures to show you of how he celebrated. Those are also courtesy of Instagram and the internet. There wasn't a lot on his birthday. It was a private celebration that I believe, but I can share a couple of public pictures that were made. I don't want to go into his privacy too much, but it looks like he was surrounded by friends and family, and there were smiles. On that, I'm just gonna show you because why talk about it when I can just show you? Okay, yeah, come on, screen layout work. Okay, I'm trying to get it to come up. Here we go. Okay. That's it. Of course, it's that thumbnail, so we know what we're doing. So, happy birthday. It was yesterday. I could not come online yesterday based on some things that were going on. His birthday was yesterday, but we wish Marilyn a very happy birthday. This is him at his party, all dressed up, ready to go with his wife, Lindsay. They both look gorgeous. These are pictures that have been all over Instagram. There's comments from everyone. He's getting a lot of well wishes. He looks good. I saw him looking a little more distraught a few months ago, but he does not now, and I'm happy to see. Look at all those red balloons, of course, dressed in the black attire that you would expect with his makeup, which is characteristic. But let me show you the black and whites. This is everybody coming together. It was done in a private place. It looks like just family and friends and lots of people. This was right before they had him blow out a huge cake. They were bringing it to him. You can see the smiles. Everyone is dressed up. It was fun. And then I captured this one picture of someone's Instagram, and don't come for me, please. But this one, this next one, really, really got my heart. Here is Marilyn Manson, okay, in the middle of his party, playing with a child for the pinata. They had this huge pinata to break, and like the kids are all excited, and Marilyn's having a great time with them. And I'm like, this is how it should be, because you need a little piece of your life back. And even though this is a true crime and legal channel, and I don't want to look like I'm totally biased for Marilyn Manson in this case. But the way that it's shaking out right now, I see a lot more damage being done to him that's unnecessary. Unnecessary, especially the way the cards are folding. We previously had Ashley Walters' case dropped. We now have another case dropped. We have one dead in the water, not even moving forward very much. We have another one on their third filing, and I'll get into the details of that with you. And we have another one coming up with an anti-slapp, a partial that is some of the most ridiculous stuff that I have heard. I mean, how you deny an actual fact, I don't know. How you actually have the nerve to go to a legal system and file a motion on a fact about something you actually did, that there's actually other legal and documentation that you did it, and then try to get it removed as if it never happened, is beyond me. I mean, I literally stuttered when I see this stuff. I mean, I unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay. Well, all right. So the first one, anyway, let's go back and just give me a few more minutes to speak, and then we'll go on the case update. We, I don't want to give the appearance that I'm just going to be 100% pro Marilyn Manson. What I'm pro is the facts that are lining up in favor of Marilyn Manson on this legal case. So let's be clear. Um, a, I, I'm not not a fan of his music, but I'm not what you would call a stan. I'm not somebody that's going to just put stuff forward because I like him or I know people that know him or anything like that. Okay, or that others do. I know, big hey, justice for Marilyn Manson, welcome. You know, just give me a hey if you want a link. I'll bring you up here in a second, should you like, because you do so much work on this. Yeah, that of course, I don't want to take a thing away from you. Um, and welcome and thank you for being here. Because yes, it was a birthday that looked very happy yesterday. I did show the picture of the pinata that you had posted. It was amazing. Um, we're hoping that some of this will move forward. I mean, the justice system has been quite slow, quite slow. And that's where I'm going to start with the first case. The slowest, most annoying case currently right now has the most filings, but it's taking so long to get anything done. Okay. And let's just start there, okay? Yeah. I know. Thank you. Okay, so in regards to Evan Rachel Woods and Illma Gore. Illma Gore was the partner and production assistant, whatever, girlfriend, kind of in the mix with Phoenix Rising with Evan Rachel Woods. Okay, I would like to tell you something that not many people know. And if you've been following the case closely or looking at the website for Justice for Marilyn Manson, you'll see that Illma Gore, with all she's had to say publicly about Marilyn Manson, what he does, what he knows, who he is, has never met him. Yeah, not one. Nope. Yes, she has. No. All her information is third hand. Well, she made quite a few accusations that were clearly listed in Brian Warner, Marilyn Manson's defamation case. His filings against her are explicit in regards to statements she made. They've got evidence of where she made them. She's done them publicly. They've got people confirming it. Howard King's filings on this to dismantle a lot of it were brilliant. Okay. And in regards to that, unfortunately, the hearings are being delayed due to the extent of motions and evidence objections by both parties in this case. And the judge kind of requested prudence, so to speak. He's just, this was like back at the end of November, the beginning of December, when they're getting ready, they have to move the trial date again. Okay, because they're saying the anti-slap motion couldn't be heard. Okay, because the court continues motions due to the insanely high evidence objections, orders parties to meet and reduce them and not try to sneak in new stuff, and probably going to be like at least, and said it was going to be a couple of months forward, and which it was, because then the January hearing got moved again to February. Okay. That's where we are now. We are waiting on the anti-slap motion hearing for February 7th. Now, anti-slap, just basically, you can look at my other videos to go into greater detail of it in regards to this case, even the last one and the one before that. But basically, they're trying to say that they can't be sued for defamation because one part of anti-slap says if they're in service to the people about something that needs to be known, okay, in this way, like the documentary they did on Phoenix Rising, in that way, that it was good for the people, it was something that needed to be heard, you can't really file for defamation on it. Okay. And Amber Heard tried that too, like, didn't work with her. I don't know why Evan Rachel Woods and Illma Gore think that lies and presenting them that way could be for the good of the people. Like, what were they preventing? Just that they wouldn't get found out. All of the stuff that they did, not so good. Another part of the anti-slap is that the filings, the fake FBI letters to say that there were FBI investigations going on against Brian Warner when there weren't, Marilyn Manson when they were not, that were actually filed in another private suit or court hearings and court case between Evan Rachel Wood and her child's father. That came to light that there's no evidence that that's an actual document that is legit, that there is actual evidence that the person named is not the right person as far as holding an investigation. And Howard King could find no evidence and no one to come forth to say that there was any investigation going on at the time. Okay. The reason we don't have a trial date is because the amount of objections and motions and evidence objections and things that are going on, um, no one set forth the trial dates. I mean, they're supposed to be, I think it was supposed to be in the fall of 2023. I'm not sure. Don't write that one in stone. But the fact is that if part of this anti-slap goes forward or gets removed and part gets denied and part, goes forward, the case is going to go forward. But you can bet, based on what's been going on back and forth, that anything that happens within that hearing on February 7th is going to be appealed. And I agree. Justice for Marilyn Manson had spoke on this. Um, and I agree, it's probably definitely going to get appealed. Because that has been what's been going on back and forth. So it's going to get delayed. It's going to get delayed again. Okay. But if you'll go to remember in the original complaint when we listed it, some of the things that Illma Gore said, it was, first of all, they said that in the video groupies that they were talking about, that the person that was in that video was actually underage and was having things done to them against their will. And then a statement came out from the person who is actually in the video, who said, I was of legal age 21. We scripted everything would happen. I am honored to be in it. This person never even spoke to me, and this person being Illma Gore. Okay. And we don't know where this is coming from. Okay. So she made those public statements, but then she also gave them to Howard King in a deposition. Like, she filed and Howard King presented it to the court. Okay. And this is what I'm talking about: Howard King step by step dismantling and backing up why Marilyn Manson is suing on these particular issues of what they have done. Okay. Claiming that I mean, there was even a swatting event that Illma Gore is actually saying she did. And now she's saying that you can't sue me for it. I, what? Like, there's evidence you actually said you did it. And you're actually going to go to court now and waste their time. Like, what? What? Why are you wasting their time? You're so vocal everywhere about everything that you did. And now you're trying to backtrack, but it's all going to be used against you. Why are you wasting the court's time? You should be settling with this man. Yeah, because it's all unraveling. It is all unraveling. And if it gets to the point where a lot of this was doing, I wonder what kind of authorities are also going to get involved about false filing of documents and accusations and all of this other stuff. I mean, that could happen too. All right. I mean, I don't think they're using the hit. I think they just they so wanted to use it so badly. Whether Evan Rachel Woods thinks that something happened between their relationship, because let's not forget, Evan Rachel Woods was in a long-term relationship with Brian Warner. She spoke to Congress and got all kinds of legislation that I was happy that she did and never mentioned him. Okay. And then boom, she decides to do this documentary. She meets Illma Gore and everything's changed. Marilyn Manson is now the worst person in the world. Never was before. But all of a sudden, boom, boom, the worst. Okay. And all this stuff starts happening to him. I don't know. I'm not going to speak on whether even Rachel Woods thinks anything happened to her or not. Or maybe she thinks differently about the relationship or not. But what's going on and how they're doing it, the way they chose to handle the situation, is not legally appropriate. Yep, that's what I'm going to go with. Not legally appropriate, because this is why they're getting their butt sued. Okay. Because just because you want to make a documentary about something, you got to have some evidence if you're going to be laying some claims, because the person you're talking about is allowed to fight back, and fight back Marilyn Manson, aka Brian Warner, rightly is doing. And his attorney, Howard King, is doing a bang up job of it. Better than some of these other attorneys. Okay. The one for Esme Bianco's case is cracking me up like to no end. Like, I don't know. How is even still on there? Thank you, everyone who's coming in. Uh, thank you. Hello, Trusted Ape Podcast. It's good to see you. Tony, Charlie, welcome. Geo Sam, Mr. and Mrs. Jin, it's good to see you. Everyone else who's coming in that I may have missed. Hey, Varillion. Hey, Wrecker. Mrs. Cassandra. Okay, thank you for the otterings. You guys don't forget to feed them strawberries in case Milky shows up. We don't want any accidents. You know how otters get. But thank you for the otters. Otters are greatly appreciated. They always make me happy. It's nice to see you guys all here. Let's move on. I'm going to show you. Okay, this, in case you don't recognize who we're speaking of course, Brian Warner, aka Marilyn Manson. That's Evan Rachel Woods, and this is Illma. Jane Doe, another civil lawsuit. Okay. Jane Doe has filed against Marilyn Manson for pretty much some of the same kinds of allegations, things done against her will, forced, whatever. Um, you know, same kind of stuff. Okay. The case has been stalled for but this one's different. She's under a protection order. Okay. She's been granted that, her anonymity. She doesn't want her name out there. Her name isn't out there. There's a lot of speculation, but nope. We're not going to say anything on that. Okay. And interestingly enough, she recently filed with her attorneys that are doing a good job of protecting her, as she won the same protection order in the Wood-Gore case, so that a lot of anything that has to do with her is going to be redacted. If they get depositions, we're not going to actually be able to read key parts that will prove anything to do with her, as far as who she is or anything. She's completely protected for reasons such of harassment, and she felt threatened. Okay, and she has this right. Okay, this case is not a lot to tell you about, except for the trial date is scheduled tentatively, and I say tentatively because they're still in discovery. Okay, and there's depositions she may have to do in the other lawsuits. Okay, because they all are kind of intertwined. They're all asking each other to depose, in statements, and each attorney is trying to get one to use in the other. Okay, and Brian Warner, aka Marilyn Manson, also is going to bring them into his suit against Wood-Gore, because part of the accusations is that they actually conspired to create these, and actually, you know, led a process in a way to gather all of these stories through a help group. Okay, they actually infiltrated a help group and kind of, got everything together. There seems to be some accusations of conspiracy going on. There seem to be some evidence in regards to other parties. I haven't seen any in regards to Jane Doe yet. Not actually with physically myself. I've heard rumors about the other cases, but I haven't seen it in black and white yet, so I don't want to speak on it. But in regards to some of the others, there actually have been copies of text messages and emails sent back and forth. And yeah, I'm speaking about Ashley Morgan Smithline, the model. Yes, there was a big thing a couple of months ago. Remember that she approached the Manson party after she realized that her fired attorney, the same attorney for Esme Bianco, they had the same attorney. She fired him in April. She claimed she fired him in April of 2022. And he said he was representing her and kept stalling her depositions. Said she was in a facility, said she was out of the country, said she was this, said she was on her way here, but she was getting mental health treatments, blah, 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 blah. Ashley says, no, 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 no. I'm coming to you because this is not right, because he's not representing me. What the heck is he talking about? Blah. Okay. Judge goes on that one. All right. Let's move over to this. Okay. To the Esme Bianco case. Okay. Before we get to Ashley Smith, I'm going to save that one for last if you don't mind. Okay. Let's go to Esme Bianco. Esme Bianco, just recently, Howard King has filed for Marilyn Manson, aka Brian Warner, to stay the case because it has come to light that Esme Bianco has given evidence to the authorities in regards to a human trafficking investigation against Marilyn Manson. There happens to be legal precedent and law that states you cannot proceed with this civil case if that is going on. We have to find out what's going on in regards to the human trafficking case, because after all, it's not Esme Bianco allegedly stating she one of the allegations against Manson in her suit is human trafficking, that she brought him that he brought her over here for that. You know, I thought it was for a job. The other accusation she's made, she has filed her third amended complaint listing that he interfered with her contract with the Deftones in all of this, and that's been amended for the third time. It seems like no matter, like, whenever Howard King pushes back about something or she hears something, they amend it immediately to make it make more sense, because they know they're gonna get it tossed. Okay. Esme Bianco has filed her third amendment case. That never looks really good, although yes, you should have your best complaint forward, okay, and your best argument. But if you have to keep changing them, like I myself, I don't know about you guys, but I start to wonder, what, like what, like why 3 times? Come on, 3 times. All right. The hearing is scheduled for January 13th. Okay, that one's going to be in a couple of days. I may have a mini update for you on that. And if I don't get to you, please check out Justice for Marilyn Manson's website listed down below, or check out on Instagram. They're posting all the time. It'll be there. It'll be there. They're doing a fantastic job. And graciously too, for all of us. For all of us. I can't thank them enough. But when it comes to Esme Bianco, this is getting like a little crazy, because Esme Bianco is the one who went back and forth from England to America. Okay, she was in a relationship with him. She wasn't in a relationship for a year, and then she came back, and then she was again. Okay, but this whole time, like, all of this was coerced. All of this was against her will. All of this was horrible. Okay, events happening all the time. I mean, you can read the complaints. All of that is linked on Justice for Marilyn Manson's website. And also in my previous videos, when I do talk about the complaint and I read the complaints to you, you're going to find them all down on the playlist there, on the Marilyn Manson playlist on my channel. You'll find links to documents. I don't like to report on anything unless I'll show you where these legal documents and all are coming from. I wait to see it in black and white. Okay, I don't like what's going on with some of these other legal cases where everybody's like following people, like dogging on them and following them on like crazy, and they don't even have in black and white what the accusations are yet. It's crazy. I'm not going to try someone in the public like this. Am I going to talk about it? Yeah, that's a little hypocritical. Yeah, I am going to talk about it because this case interests me. Like I said, we've got a consent issue here that they're arguing about. We had statute of limitations issues that we're filing about, and now one of the things that I'm really interested in is what's going to happen about all the false filing of documents going back and forth. What's going to happen to Elzinger, the attorney for Esme Bianco and former attorney for Ashley Morgan Smithline? Like, what should happen to him when you falsely represent someone in emails, but they fired you? And then they're showing emails to where they fired you, and they're showing the other side the text messages where they fired you, and also giving evidence for the other side in regards to like some coercion that was going on with other cases. Like, I want to see what happens. I don't know. Sanctions should be filed. I mean, some of the sanctions have been requested and denied on other things. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I think the worst thing in the world. Oh, no. That's right. That's right, Justice from Maryland. The hearing is scheduled for January 13th, and I think I have that coming up, the piece that says, nope, we're not doing that. We're going to actually ask you to wait. He's going to make the decision based on all of the stuff that they filed. So now we're going to have to just wait again, and we're going to wait for that to hit. Thank you very much for reminding me. That's probably the next slide up, actually. But thank you very much. And that's a fact. See, that's what I told you. Justice for Marilyn Manson, they got it straight as an arrow, every single fact on this case. A wonderful resource. So you guys got to check them out. Definitely have to check them out. But yeah, the judge themselves is going to be weighing on that. They're actually not going to be in court on January 13th. No more oral arguments in regards to the stay of the case or any of that. The judge has stated that there was enough provided in the written statements and what's been provided for the court for them to be able to make a decision based on what they're already seeing. So there's no reason for anything else, which is good because that's going to like not waste the court's time anymore and drag this out even more, you know. So yeah, but we still have it tentatively June 23rd. I guess we'll find out based on the stay of the case. Of course, if the case gets stayed, that date's going to move. Okay. The filing of the third amended complaint, which just happened recently, is also, because now the timeline starts again for Marilyn Manson's side, for Howard King to file his answer to the complaint, to the third amended complaint. He needs to answer that, and the clock starts again. The legal clock and how things should be filed and when dates should be scheduled and when hearings should happen. I do not envy these judges at all. Okay, this is Esme Bianco. You may recognize her. She was a Game of Thrones actress. Yeah, and of course another nice picture of Marilyn. I actually like this one because you can see his hand tattoo with um, and he's smiling. I like pictures of Marilyn Manson when he's smiling. I would like to see him smile more, but with all this going on, I can understand why he's not. But it does look like he had a good birthday, and I am happy for that. Um, you know, I just hmm, I wish this wasn't taking so long. This has been years now. Years. Okay. All right. So because of the statement of sexual assault allegations invited, this was the tweet that was put out by, the Los Angeles County. Okay. Then on September 19th of 2022, investigators from Los Angeles Sheriff's Department provided partial case material to LADA pertaining to the sexual assault allegations against Brian Warner. Okay. And so there was something going on. And then, okay, Marilyn Manson files, okay, and says that the court should stay this case because the Trafficking Victims Protection Reauthorization Act, under which the plaintiff, Esme Bianco, has brought a claim, has a mandatory stay provision that states any civil action filed under subsection A shall be stayed during the pendency of any criminal action arising out of the same occurrence in which the claimant is a victim. That means in English, Esme Bianco is giving evidence and testimony to the LADA in regards to a criminal investigation, not actually anything, like for trafficking in this process right here. And it hasn't been finished yet. And so the case should be stayed because you can't have both going on at the same time. It's complicit. Okay. So this was what Justice for Marilyn Manson was stating. Please take notice that on January 13th, or they were soon after, that it's going to be heard. Okay. But then they said there was an affidavit from Blair Burke saying that actually he had evidence that there was discussion between Esme Bianco. This case is executive. There is an open case there against Brian Warner. And then recently we had the notice, the posting that the judge was going to actually go with the written statements instead of oral. So that case got canceled. And thank you for reminding me of that, Justice for Marilyn Manson. Now, in regards to Ashley Morgan Smithline, previously we had all of that back and forth from her attorney, and I did report on that, I think in October when we were speaking on that and forth, everything going back and forth with her contacting Manson's attorneys and stating that attorney does not work for her as of a certain date, blah blah blah. She's not represented for her deposition. She missed all of the depositions. She was not represented. The judge gave her a certain amount of time to actually get representation that wasn't Ellswinger and to Harold was a go forward. Okay. And she didn't provide anything. And of course, this has been dismissed without prejudice, which means she could file this again. Okay. The point being that it's closed for now. Okay. But she does have the ability to refile this case at a later date. They didn't dismiss it totally and close it complete, off the books forever. Okay. But there's also the status of what's going on with the depositions in the Bianco and the Wood cases, because Ashley Morgan Smithline has been asked for depositions in both this. And there's been going on back and forth about that. This is what started a lot of that hullabaloo. On her lawyer speaking, her supposed, I have to say, in quotes, if supposed lawyer going back and forth in regards to uh, her showing up for these depositions. It's a little sketchy, like, because he is the same lawyer for Esme Bianco. Okay, he was with both of them. One case is dismissed now, and Esme Bianco's is having a mess, and we need depositions in both the Bianco and the Wood cases. Okay, this is Ashley Morgan Smithline. You may have seen her. She did a couple of interviews. There was one interview that was posted that was circulated around very well, where she was with Ellswinger. They were kind of weren't on the same page when they were talking, and people were commenting that she didn't really present very well, and something seemed to be up when she was presenting, talking in regards to this case and what was going on. Um, it didn't seem well. Howard King has made quite a few statements, lately, and I want to go to a couple of those, because there are statements from everybody in regards to this. Because in the dismissal of this, it's a California district judge. He's dismissed this lawsuit, okay, against Marilyn Manson, and because she had accused him of sexual assault, human trafficking, and unlawful imprisonment. um, Jay Elwanger withdrew his representation in October, okay, formally with the court, although Ashley Smithline does state that she fired him in April. Okay, she has made that statement in tweets and in an email to the other side. Okay, but the judge, and I believe this is Judge Anil Roca. I hope I've said that right. I'm sorry, Judge, if I did not, but they gave Smithline like a 90-day window to either hire a new attorney or decide to represent herself. She did neither by the December 5th deadline, so they dismissed the case without prejudice last Tuesday. Um, uh, Brian Warner, people are actually Howard King actually thanked her publicly for dismissing her claims against Brian Warner without seeking or receiving anything in return, and said that Miss Smithline has refused to be manipulated by others who are trying to pursue their own agendas against Mr. Warner, and we wish her well and will continue to work to assure that a significant price will be paid by those who have tried to abuse our legal system. I like that statement, Mr. King. I would like to see sanctions if this is happening. I would. I would like to see something happen if this is truly happening. I want to see it. Another representative for Manson wrote in a statement to this is from Consequence, which is an online music film representation of the media, that bizarre Instagram messages between Smithline and Elwanger led Manson's counsel to believe that Smithline was manipulated into fabricating lies about Mr. Warner. According to some court documents, these messages implied by Elwanger had, unbeknownst to Smithline, lied about her whereabouts in order to postpone their depositions. The messages also indicated that, as I stated, Smithline fired Elwanger in April of 2022, despite his continued communication with Manson's counsel on her behalf afterwards. Okay. Smithline's case first came about. She publicly accused him in a cover story of People magazine back in, I believe it was May of 2021. And she then followed that by accusations that his ex was right after that is when Evan Rachel Woods also made some claims. As I stated before, Elwanger is still representing Esme Bianco, who also filed suit against Manson a month prior to a month prior to the others. Okay. Um, in Manson's defense, every time this comes out, they put out a statement that deny all allegations. And of course, we know now that Marilyn Manson, aka Brian Warner, has sued Evan Rachel Wood and Illma Gore for all of the allegations and all of the conspiracy that they feel has happened in regards to this. Um, okay, so it's nice to see that there's some there's some things moving along. Okay, um, this was actually the legal document that actually granted the 90 days and moved it forward. Okay, and after that, she did not comply, so therefore they dismissed it without prejudice for plaintiff's failure to prosecute the action. In other words, she didn't move forward. Okay, no attorney, no, did not. She did not bring forward another attorney or anything for that. She didn't move forward on the case. The case is dismissed without prejudice. She's going to have to refile. And because they had a hearing on file about it, okay, the order taken of the defendant Brian Warner to stay the case, okay, the court finds that the motion to stay the case currently scheduled for January 13th is appropriate for decision without oral argument. You see why I had this in the wrong case. This goes over there with Bianco. According to this motion, it's taken under submission and the hearing is vacated. The court expects the parties to continue litigation this action diligently while awaiting the court's ruling on this motion. No appearances are necessary. There's nothing, this was just on pacer like this. It's just blank. And it belongs to the other case, and that's how I got it. I got it out of order. But I thank you for your grace on that, and I thank you for your assistance on it again, Justice for Marilyn Mason. I keep saying your name like over and over again because the amount of work that you do is astounding, and I love to give credit where credit is due. And you definitely deserve it. Hey, Garris. Hey, Sean. Thank you for joining us. Hey, Ox and Mark Caesar. It's nice to see you guys too. So now I kind of got to the point where I've done the update, and it's mostly here when I talk about where I think cases are going. But I really want to check if you guys have any questions in regards to any of the cases going on, or anything that I can bring you back up to date with. Hey, what the Beck? How are you? Mm. Um, in regards to right now, it seems that most things are moving quite slowly in all the cases. Okay, we're gonna wait and we're gonna hear. No, we don't. Not related. Not related to Marilyn Manson, but I hear you, Garris, and I don't believe that we do. But there's a great meme on my Twitter feed about it from Mocking Media. There you go. That's your update on that. That's where I'm at with that. That's the last thing that I adjusted on it. Hey, Kira, nice to see you. Nice to see you. But no. Mm. It is, it is very good. I know, sorry you had to ask. I know because what? Didn't we have like, sorry to get away from Marilyn Manson, but we did just have like, was it 11, 12, maybe 13 votes and still no speaker? But the silver lining is everybody's going to know everybody who's voting. We're going to know all the names of everybody if you hear them over and over and over again as they say their name and they put their vote. I mean, we're just going to know everybody by now. 12? Okay, right in the middle. There you go. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, it is the silver lining. We're gonna know all their names by now. But yeah. Don't I mean, why do they keep doing it? Why don't you just like they don't want you? Like, pull your name. How many votes for people to say, nah, we're just not that into you, dude. We're just not that into you. Why are we gonna keep voting? Why are we gonna keep voting? Okay. Hmm. Oh boy. Oh, let me just all right. Some little facts. Okay. Um Way back, when I think about Marilyn Manson, aka Brian Warner, having to sue Evan Rachel Wood and Ashley Illma Gore, it kind of really bugs me because of all of them, Evan Rachel Wood had the longest, I believe, relationship with him. She was an actress. She's a visual artist. They were quite creative together. They dated for a long time and worked together on closed nonprofits and things like that. Um, Before meeting Ashley Illma Gore, Evan Rachel Woods was doing great work in regarding victims, getting statutes of limitations extended in several states. She actually worked on the amendments in the laws that actually made that rape kits would not be destroyed right away, even though people didn't want to testify. That you had some anonymity. She made that process easier. She helped give evidence that helped those laws get passed that made the process easier to come forward with respect, made the hospital, the process easier, the way interviews were done, extended the safekeeping of those kits on file, um, how things were used, protected your DNA. A lot of great legislation. Okay, back then when I heard her speech for the congressional hearings, I was quite impressed, and you'll hear that in my first video. I speak about it, and I am still impressed about all of that. And I don't know what happened because everything changed, you know. Everything changed. I don't know how doing all that good work got twisted into having to destroy people in such a manner to make it happen. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. And I'm hoping we get answers on it if this does go to trial. Okay. Um, Manson is directly suing them now for fraud, hacking, im- impersonating him online. He documents a few in his complaint parts where people were pretending to be him and things were being done. A swatting that Illma Gore actually admits to, circulating distribution of illicit material of minors in his name without his consent or knowledge, in a bunch more. Illma Gore has been quoted in print as calling him a pedophile based on the groupie thing that didn't exist. There are actually statements from the people involved with this that actually say, "No, I was 21. I'm legal." Okay. She never met them, never talked to them, and Ilma Gore has never spoken to Marilyn Manson. You know, that's a little crazy. Okay. Um, currently we are waiting on that anti-slapp. Anti-slapp is not going to get rid of the whole case. It can only go against some of it, the defamation part. I don't know how anti-slapp. They're trying to get that forged FBI letter out, okay? Um, because of it being part of a private court hearing in regards to custody of a child. They are trying to get that out, and I kid you not when I say that the defamation claim, the reason they're filing the anti-slapp is they're spreading a falsehood that he actually produced child porn. They're saying that that's free speech and protected because they're actually putting it out there to protect to protect people. Um, I kid you not. They want to claim a lie that vicious as free speech, and a damaging FBI letter that's false as protected. This a little bit underhanded and shady, and as I'm looking at it, but we have to wait for the judge's determination on it. I'm very curious to find what legal precedents they're going to follow here. In When I read the legal precedents that they used in regards to how they're claiming that all of those accusations they made during Phoenix Rising and publicly on Instagram and places, especially by Ilmagol, how that's protected is free speech, because free speech, you're allowed to say whatever you want, right? We all know that. It's America. But that doesn't mean without consequence. And in this case, the consequences, if that was a lie, a provable lie that she could have, if she at least even met him or contacted the person involved in the video, which were both accessible, she could have proved whether it was true or not before she spread it, before she decided to say it and put it forth as a fact. And the conspiracy part comes forth that she used that to entice other people who may have felt victimized in some way to come forward and tell their stories. That's how they're laying it out. Oh yeah, Garris, that was quite unattractive about Kobe Bryant's death. Evan Rachel Woods did make a rather untoward tweet about him, like, "Oh well," because he had been accused in the past of something, which got to, which hello, he's married, he has children now, he just died. Um, Regardless how you feel personally about things like like that kind of disregard shows you where the head's at. That spoke volumes to me. I don't know about you, Garris, or anybody else in the chat. Hey, Spooky Spoon, nice to see you. Hey, MJ, no problem, no problem. I'm glad you're here. Sleep, yep. Mm, nice to see you too, and Kira. You. Mm. I am. It's good to see you too, my dear Spooky. I am so glad I haven't been, I've been here on YouTube. That's it. I do wish you also, I hope you're doing well also and you have a very, very happy year. And hey, Misery Machine, nice to see you. Good thing, for all of you coming in late, I'm just about to wrap up. I'm only keeping this to about an hour, okay? But I've got the visuals up there in the replay for you. We did a little birthday thing in the beginning. Replay's a great thing. And for following up on the rest of the case in more detail, definitely, definitely check out the playlist. And for ongoing via Instagram and the web, please follow Justice for Marilyn Manson. Okay, I've got the link to the website down below, and you can follow them on Instagram on the same account. I've got the hashtags there. Um, Definitely putting out great stuff as it happens. Here we go. Definitely in support currently of Marilyn Manson's going on. I would have to say I do agree that there may be something going on here in regards to just not enough evidence to prove the allegations that are being made. I'm watching them all fall apart. I'm watching them get chipped away one by one. I'm watching things fall. We've got two canceled cases. Ashley Morgan Smithline and Ashley Walters both done. Okay, um, out. Ashley Walters can't refile. The way she filed and the way she did, she just messed it all up. And definitely, um, Ashley Smith, Ashley Morgan Smithline can though. She can. Here you go, Spooky. There it is. It's also always linked in the description. If you ever need to find me, Spooky Spoon, I put all my contact information in the description of all my videos to make it easier for everybody. It's also on the back of the channel in the about part. All the email addresses, Instagram, Twitter, anyway, because I like to hear from you all on that, on all the cases that I cover. And on this Manson one, I would really like to hear some opinion on the back of the video. Before the pro Evan Rachel Wood people start bashing the back of my video, why don't a couple of you actually tell me how you feel about stuff, instead of just here. So hello YouTube, like, interaction is a thing and it does help the algorithm. And I am going to ask you to like and subscribe and share. And that if you haven't already, for whatever reason, and you are listening to me occasionally, because I do get some numbers on these videos, why not go ahead and subscribe so you get notifications of all the stuff I do? Because I do some great stuff coming out, especially in regards to my culture conversations series that is coming out in early 2023. This month should be the first episode, but I'm not giving you the date yet. But I'm very excited about that. I also do some not legal stuff, some funnier stuff. I also do uh, some opinion pieces on things. I love library chats where we talk about lots of different subjects. If there's anything anyone has a great interest in that wants to bring forward that you want to hear a good balanced discussion, pro and con, not a debate, a discussion, a forming of an opinion on a topic. Some of them large. I mean, we've talked about the use of language, um, with philosophy people. I've talked to psychologists in regards to Scientology, and ex-Scientologists in regards to leaving, and I have talked to many of my friends just in regards they study psychology and they work in psychology, just on some of the legal cases and some of the disorders, like even on the one with Amber Heard, when we talked about all the disorders that she was presented with, and we spoke on that. But some interesting things. But I want to hear what you guys want to talk about, because it's a new year. It's 2023, and although I do hope that Marilyn Manson get some resolution during 2023 with all of these cases. I do hope that they move forward or out the way that they should. That the evidence starts getting presented. We got trial dates. We get motions. We things start speeding up. None of this like paperwork getting buried under, because how has this been going on long enough for all the parties? Okay, and the way all the accusations came out, and yet there were only 4 lawsuits, okay, going on, but all of those accusations in the beginning was quite damaging, okay, and we want to see, if there's nothing there, we want to see the ability to be able to recover. We want to see things going in a more positive light, okay. I hope so, Misery Machine. I hope it all gets resolved. I hope we can start rebuilding back again, because this is like taking so long for what I don't see any actual proof of anything um that he's guilty of. you know is he guilty of having the type of character for his creativity and his artistry that someone may easily be able to believe this stuff? Possibly. I would be fooled to think that when you see that character up there, people are going to be like, oh well, maybe, you know maybe. But um but in the hope that if they don't have the evidence, that they just drop all this stuff, you know it would be nice. And let me put your question up here, love. Misery Machine says, I can't figure out how Evan Rachel Woods can just do whatever illegal crap and no one ever holds her accountable. We are, though. I'm calling for sanctions. If that FBI letter is actually not true, I want to see both court systems. The one with the private one that she used it in the custody. Okay, I want to see them go after her, and I want to see this court go after her also, for putting that in there, and the attorneys that allowed it to happen without checking it out. That's sanctionable. That needs to happen, because that needs to be prevented in the future. Okay. Yes, Garris, that's not true. He did not remove. He didn't remove a rib. I know. There's so many false allegations and everything out there. He is a very powerful man, Spooky. I agree. He is. I do agree. But I don't think they have the evidence here to be filing what they are. I don't. Oh, so, well, I'm going to end now. And unless there's any other questions. So, on that, I do hope that this is going to be the year that we get all of this resolved and we can just go forward. I'm glad that all of you were here for this. It's been a while since I got to talk about Maryland, and this was one of the cases I came out here with. And like I said, I've been following all of the work that others are doing. So I didn't feel the need to just jump on it. I wanted to pull everything together and do something when something big like this happened, his birthday, where I got to see him smile. And I was kind of really happy about that. Very happy about that. So thank you, Justice for Marilyn Manson and several others who posted pictures of it. And there were several accounts on Instagram that were posting the celebration, and it was nice to see that there was something besides this on him, you know. And also, uh, we had the birthday and we had the actual dropping of a case, which is big, and we do have some things to look forward to. We've got, a judge going to be doing some motions, and then we've got the hearing in February. So we will be following it again. And if anything else slightly comes up, I'll be mentioning it again in one of my group legal updates, which I do on Monday. Okay. And on that note, just a reminder to like, share. Hold on one second. I have no idea what that was. I have no idea. So I'm going to end, okay? And then I'm just going to ask you to like, share, and company. I am so sorry. Like something just went off with like my phone just like jumped across the room screaming at me and it was like absolutely ridiculous. So I apologize everyone. Dead air is the worst thing in the world, but I'm not going to trim it because then I'll lose the wonderful chat and all of your questions. Okay. Okay, Spooky Spoon says if this opens up, very important people will get sounded out like in Epstein's case. Hopefully. Okay. And I hope that there will be sanctions against those that are filing falsely and actually bringing in bad documents, false documents. Okay, not exactly cool, not exactly cool at all. Um, so on that. I really enjoy having you all here. Happy New Year, everyone. Tomorrow will be what the at 10 o'clock on Saturday. We will go over some social media shenanigans and true stories. I mean, stuff that's so weird. You can't believe that it's true, but it actually is. And we're going to talk about some cases, some small cases that are going on that I don't want to report legally. I just want to make fun of. And that's where I do it on Saturday there. Okay. And the rest of the weekend, you'll find me over on the Shills for Operator Starsky at 3 o'clock Eastern on Saturday and on Sunday at 6 o'clock for Uncalled For with Amy Hogan. Everything in Eastern Standard Time. Everyone, have a great night. Thank you for being here. I hope you'll check out the playlist to get caught up. I hope you'll check out Justice for Marilyn Manson. Okay, and I'll see you soon on my next show.